called the biggest esports event on the planet for a reason.
Katowice is the main esports city in Poland and one of the most important in the whole of Europe. More than a dozen ESL One Katowice tournaments were held there. Some of them were CS majors, the last of which will end in the next few days. Today we decided to tell you about the main esports cities in each of the regions. Let's go. Cologne. Let's start with one more city in Western Europe. We picked Cologne, Germany, the hometown of ESL and SK Gaming. SK Gaming is a legendary CS tag team and a major champion. ESL is one of the world's leading esports companies and the largest esports tournament operator.
This is one of the premier events, not only in CSGO, but in esports as far as I'm concerned. We're getting 13,000 fans screaming their heads off here in an arena, watching CS, and just we're all feeling it together, right? You just cannot help but ride that energy wave that just goes pounding through Lanxess every time.
ESL hosts dozens of LAN tournaments around the planet and thousands of online tournaments every year, with millions of dollars as a prize pool in total. ESL has offices all over the world, but the main and largest office is exactly in Cologne. It would be strange if ESL didn't organize one of the best CS tournaments in their hometown's history, ESL One Cologne.
The biggest, the baddest, the hypest CSGO tournament there will be, ESL One Cologne 2015.
This is the biggest CSGO event of all time!
Playoffs of the tournament have been hosted in Lanxess Arena for years. 3 times this city has hosted a CS major, which is a record in the discipline. However, there are other important events for esports and gamers taking place in Cologne in August. In this month has been held for more than 10 years, one of the major gaming events in Europe and the world, Gamescom. Dota players and esports remember Gamescom 2011, where Valve held the first The International, which had a prize pool of $1.6 million. At the time, the largest tournament prize pool in the history of cybersports. Shanghai. Let's move to China. In this country, the main city in esports is no doubt Shanghai.
Welcome to Shanghai, TI9.
Hundreds of esports companies are headquartered in Shanghai, including esports event organizer and operator VSPN, Imba TV, the best Chinese esports clubs Edward Gaming, Invictus Gaming, and Royal Never Give Up. In competitions and leagues, alongside hundreds of small and medium esports events, Shanghai is the only city in the world that hosted the International, Worlds, and planned to host CS2 Major in the end of 2024. Rio. The South American capital in our top is Rio de Janeiro.
Counter-Strike in Rio, it's truly well and alive, and we have just witnessed something magnificent in the marvelous city of Rio de Janeiro.
Here, the legendary Brazilian tag MIBR was founded in 2003. Here, as well as in Sao Paulo, many large and small CS tournaments were held. In fact, in many aspects, Sao Paulo is a more important city in esports for the region. Almost all top Brazilian clubs have opened their headquarters there: Furia, Loud, Pain, etc. Moreover, the father of Brazilian esports, Fallen, was born in this city. However, there is a top argument in favor of Rio. The first ever CS major in Latin America was held in Rio and is still remembered by many fans. Kyiv. Back to Europe, East Europe this time. Here, the title of the esports capital is unreservedly taken by Kyiv, the home of Navi, one of the most popular cyber sports clubs in the world. Also, it's the home of 2 tournament operators, StarLadder and WePlay. And of course, it's the hometown of Maincast, one of the main broadcast esports companies in Eastern Europe. Both tournament operators gave us legendary esports arenas, StarLadder with its Cyber Arena, where they held dozens of tournaments in various disciplines. For me personally, the most important was StarLadder Star Series Season 11, because it was the first LAN tournament in my life. Also, StarLadder was the organizer of Berlin Major 2019, the last major which won legendary Astralis.
The StarLadder Major.
WePlay, on the other hand, only recently built their arena, but it hosted the most anime-themed major in Dota 2 history, and a major. Seoul. Let's go back to Asia, to South Korea. As the birthplace of esports, Seoul, the capital of South Korea, was among the first countries to recognize esports as a legitimate sport, as well as an official job category. Since its recognition in 2000, Seoul has played a formative role in bringing esports mainstream attention and regulatory approval. One of the first acts of supporting esports came from Korea's Ministry of Culture and included sponsoring the World Cyber Game, the predecessor to the world's first international esports competition, which took place in October 2000. The inaugural edition of the World Cyber Games was held in Seoul with a prize of $300,000. Highly impressive for the time. One of the most important disciplines in the tournament was CS. For comparison, StarCraft Brood War, one of the most popular esports disciplines in South Korea, had a $46,000 prize pool, while CS, $70,000. Seoul is home to numerous grassroots esports leagues and local tournaments. Moreover, South Korea previously hosted multiple major esports competitions. In modern esports history, Seoul and South Korea host League of Legends tournaments. 2 Worlds took place in Seoul. Worlds 2023 was very successful for Koreans. T1, legendary Korean team, which was led by Faker, the most popular and expensive esports player in the world, won the championship. Seattle. It's time to visit the USA and the main city for Dota 2 and Valve, Seattle. It was here that 7 of the 12 of the internationals took place. It could have been 8, but in 2018 the legendary Kyiv Arena, which hosted the Dota World Cup for many years, started to be restored, and therefore TI8 was held in Vancouver. Seattle is no less important for Valve itself, and Kirkland, which is part of the Seattle metropolitan area, was the first office of the company, and the current one is located in Bellevue, a city located on the other side of Lake Washington.
And before we continue, we'd like to remind you that you can support our channel financially. You can do this via PayPal. All the details can be found in the description below this video.
Riyadh. Instead of choosing which discipline to start entering cybersports with, Saudi Arabia decided to go in almost all and organize the Gamersgate Esports Festival, which has been loudly touted by the organizers as the world's largest gaming and esports event. Gamersgate is inspired by and somewhat imitates the legendary World Cyber Games. The festival, which for a decade in a row gathered in one place cyber athletes from different games, different countries, and different regions, was a dream of any professional player at the dawn of cybersports. Every year, Gamersgate gets bigger. In 2022, there were 5 tournaments. In 2023, 15. Instead of a $15 million prize pool in 2022, it was $45 million in 2023. Instead of 10 participating teams in the Dota 2 Riyadh Masters 2022, 20 participants. Here, we would like to talk separately about the Riyadh Masters, which got the nickname the second the International. Considering that the prize money of TI will never reach the mark of $40 million more, the World Cup from the Saudis with a prize money of $15 to $25 million can become the main in the discipline. In 2024, thanks to the de facto purchase of an international esports federation, Saudi Arabia will not only host a Club World Cup, but also the main tournament of the year for national teams. So far, there are not many details about Gamersgate 2024 and Esports World Cup, but the plans of the Saudis are grandiose. Largely because of this tournament, well known to CS tags like Heroic and G2 decided to break into Dota. Moreover, for the first time in a long time, the top teams on League of Legends will be participating in a major tournament that wasn't organized by Riot, who turned their competitive system into a party for richies in the last few years. In 2023, Saudi Esports Federation offered clubs a progressive partnership system. The more teams under your name will successfully perform at our tournaments, the more you will earn the points in the ranking, according to the results of which you will receive a reward. So in 2023, $5 million in prize money was allocated for this system. Then the champion became the Saudi club Twisted Minds. That's all for today. What important city for esports did we miss? Write in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Good game.